Where is the abyssal zone? The ocean floor. The abyssal zone refers to the deep ocean floor, typically found at depths of 3,000 to 6,000 meters. This zone is characterized by extreme pressure, perpetual darkness, and very cold temperatures, supporting unique marine life adapted to these harsh conditions. The UNASUR Constitutive Treaty, signed on the 23rd of May 2008 in Brasilia, Brazil, founded what international body? Union of South American Nations, UNASUR. The Union of South American Nations, UNASUR, is a regional intergovernmental organization that aimed to integrate two existing customs unions, Mercosur and the Andean Community of Nations. Founded in 2008, it sought to create a common South American identity and foster political, economic, and social integration among its member states. Why did the International Telecommunication Union abbreviate Coordinated Universal Time as UTC? It is a compromise between the English Coordinated Universal Time (CUT) and the French Temps Universel Cordon (TUC). The International Telecommunication Union (ITU) adopted UTC as the abbreviation for Coordinated Universal Time. This choice was a compromise between the English abbreviation, CUT, and the French, TUC, ensuring linguistic neutrality and international acceptance for the global time standard. Whose official address is 9 Downing Street, London, next to that of the Prime Minister of the UK? The Chief Whip. 9 Downing Street is an official address in London, adjacent to the Prime Minister's residence at number 10. Historically, it has been used by various government officials, most commonly serving as the office of the Chief Whip, who is responsible for party discipline in Parliament. A referendum that took place in Quebec on the 30th of October 1995, which was defeated 49.42% yes to 50.58% no, concerned what? Quebec should secede from Canada. The 1995 Quebec referendum was a pivotal moment in Canadian history, where Quebecers voted on whether the province should secede from Canada. The no side, advocating for continued unity, narrowly won, demonstrating the deep divisions and ongoing debate surrounding Quebec's sovereignty. Easter Island belongs to which country? Chile. Easter Island, known for its iconic Moai statues, is a remote Polynesian island in the Pacific Ocean. It is a special territory of Chile, lying approximately 3,500 kilometers west of the Chilean mainland. At what time of day does the church service called Vespers take place? Evening. Vespers is a liturgical service held in the evening in various Christian denominations, particularly in the Roman Catholic, Eastern Orthodox, and Anglican churches. It is one of the canonical hours of prayer, typically celebrated as the sun sets or in the early evening. Who wrote the book, Das Kapital? Karl Marx. Das Kapital, Capital, Critique of Political Economy, is a foundational text in critical theory, economics, and political science, authored by Karl Marx. This seminal work critically analyzes capitalism, its economic laws, and its inherent contradictions, profoundly influencing socialist and communist thought. In which country are members of parliament known, not as MPs but TDs? Ireland. In Ireland, members of Dáil Éireann, the lower house of the Oireachtas, Irish Parliament, are known as Taoiseach Dála, TDs. This term is derived from the Irish language, meaning, deputy of the Dáil, reflecting Ireland's unique parliamentary terminology. Which library opened its reading room to the public in 1609, the second public library in Europe to do so? Biblioteca Ambrosiana, Milan, Italy. The Biblioteca Ambrosiana in Milan, Italy, is one of the oldest public libraries in Europe, famously opening its reading room to the public in 1609. Founded by Cardinal Federico Borromeo, it houses an extensive collection of ancient manuscripts, books, and art, including works by Leonardo da Vinci. Which country was represented by Olympic gold medalists Paavo Nurmi, Ville Ritola, Claes Thunberg, and Lasse Viren? Finland. Paavo Nurmi, Ville Ritola, Claes Thunberg, and Lasse Viren are highly acclaimed Finnish Olympic athletes. Nurmi and Ritola were dominant long-distance runners in the 1920s, known as the Flying Finns, while Thunberg excelled in speed skating and Viren was a prominent long-distance runner in the 1970s. Their collective achievements underscore Finland's significant historical presence in Olympic sports. According to legend, what was the Pied Piper asked to drive out of Hamelin? Rats. The legend of the Pied Piper of Hamelin is a famous medieval German folktale. In the story, the town of Hamelin faced a severe rat infestation and employed a mysterious piper to lure the rats away with his magical pipe. When the townspeople refused to pay him as agreed, the piper retaliated by luring away their children instead. Which is the world's most populous metropolitan area? Tokyo. Tokyo, the capital of Japan, holds the distinction of being the world's most populous metropolitan area. This vast urban agglomeration, which includes the city of Tokyo and its surrounding prefectures, is a major global center for economy, finance, culture, and technology, characterized by its immense population density and extensive infrastructure. For what is the Prix Goncourt awarded? Literature. The Prix Goncourt is France's most prestigious literary award, presented annually by the Académie Goncourt. Established in 1903, it recognizes the best prose work of fiction written in French, significantly boosting the winning author's reputation and book sales within the literary world. Which planet possesses 5 rings named after the astronomers Johann Gottfried Galle, Urbain Le Verrier, William Lassell, François Arago, and John Couch Adams? Neptune. Neptune, the 8th planet from the Sun, is characterized by a faint ring system consisting of 5 principal rings. These rings are named in honor of astronomers who made significant contributions to the discovery and study of Neptune, distinct from the more prominent ring systems of other gas giants like Saturn. For which artistic activity was Dame Elizabeth Frink honored? Sculpture. Dame Elizabeth Frink was an eminent British sculptor and printmaker, widely recognized for her powerful and expressive bronze sculptures. Her distinctive works frequently depicted animals, particularly horses and birds, and male figures, earning her a prominent place in 20th-century British art. What was the name given to a controversy in England from 1903 to 1910 regarding vivisection, involving protests, clashes between medical students and suffragettes, a libel trial, and the establishment of a royal commission? The Brown Dog Affair. The Brown Dog Affair was a significant political and social controversy in Edwardian England concerning vivisection practices, particularly the public dissection of a brown terrier at University College London. The incident sparked intense protests from anti-vivisectionists, leading to public unrest, legal battles, and eventually a royal commission on vivisection, highlighting the era's growing animal rights movement. What term describes the lowest temperature at which vapor above a liquid can be ignited? Flashpoint. The flashpoint is defined as the lowest temperature at which a liquid produces sufficient ignitable vapor to form a flammable mixture with air near its surface. This critical parameter is widely used in safety protocols to classify flammable and combustible liquids, indicating the minimum temperature at which they pose a fire hazard when an ignition source is present. What is lellophobia and irrational fear of? Speaking. Lellophobia is defined as the irrational fear of speaking. It is a specific phobia, often triggered by public speaking or even general communication, leading to anxiety and avoidance. Which military medal, originally known as the Badge of Military Merit and established by George Washington in 1782, was re-established after World War I? The Purple Heart. The Purple Heart is a United States military decoration awarded to those wounded or killed while serving. Established by George Washington in 1782, it was initially a badge of military merit, recognizing any singularly meritorious action. Though rarely awarded initially, it was officially re-established in 1932, becoming a symbol of sacrifice in combat. In Anglo-Saxon Britain, what term was used to describe a local magistrate and the king's regional representative? Reeve. In Anglo-Saxon England, a reeve was a local administrative official, serving as a magistrate and the regional representative of the king. They were responsible for maintaining law and order, collecting taxes, and overseeing agricultural work within a specific district or manor. What is the medical term for a nosebleed? Epistaxis. Epistaxis is the medical term for a nosebleed, referring to the bleeding from the nose. It commonly occurs due to fragile blood vessels in the nasal septum, often triggered by dry air, trauma, or certain medical conditions. What natural disaster caused the closure of the Panama Canal in December 2010, the first time in 21 years? Flooding. The Panama Canal was forced to close in December 2010 due to severe flooding, caused by unusually heavy rains. This rare closure highlighted the vulnerability of critical global trade infrastructure to extreme weather events, disrupting international shipping for the first time in 21 years. For what purpose was the phenakistoscope, invented simultaneously in 1832 by Joseph Plateau and Simon von Stampfer, utilized? Watching animated pictures. The phenakistoscope, invented in 1832, was an early animation device that used a spinning disc of sequential images viewed through slits to create the illusion of motion. It represents a significant precursor to modern animation and cinema, demonstrating the persistence of vision. According to legend, which king was believed to be buried on the mythical island of Avalon? King Arthur. Avalon is a legendary island from Arthurian mythology, often depicted as a mystical paradise or a realm of enchantment. It is most famously associated with King Arthur, who, according to legend, was taken to Avalon after his final battle to recover from his wounds or to be buried there. In the Middle Ages, what were housecarls? Bodyguards. Housecarls were a class of professional soldiers or bodyguards, primarily associated with Scandinavian rulers and nobility during the Viking Age and early Middle Ages. They served as a personal retinue, offering protection and military service to their lords. How many members are in the U.S. House of Representatives? 435. The United States House of Representatives, the lower chamber of the U.S. Congress, consists of 435 voting members. These representatives are elected by popular vote to 2-year terms, with representation apportioned among the states based on population. Who was the President of the USA at the conclusion of the Vietnam War, when the final U.S. personnel were evacuated from Saigon on April 29, 1975? Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford was the President of the United States when the Vietnam War officially ended for the U.S. with the fall of Saigon on April 29, 1975. Operation Frequent Wind marked the largest helicopter evacuation in history, signaling the conclusion of American involvement in the conflict. What was the nationality of the astronomer Tycho Brahe? Danish. Tycho Brahe was a prominent Danish astronomer, alchemist, and nobleman who made significant contributions to planetary observation and astronomical data collection in the late 16th century. His precise and comprehensive measurements laid crucial groundwork for Johannes Kepler's laws of planetary motion. What is the highest uninterrupted waterfall globally? Angel Falls. Angel Falls, or Salto Angel, located in Venezuela, holds the record as the world's highest uninterrupted waterfall, with a height of 979 meters, 3,212 feet. Its waters plunge from the Oyang Tepui mountain in Canama National Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. What term refers to the ancient preserved human remains discovered in Egypt? Mummies. Mummies are deceased humans or animals whose skin and organs have been preserved, either intentionally or accidentally. Ancient Egyptians developed sophisticated techniques for mummification, believing it essential for the deceased's journey to the afterlife, making Egypt famous for its numerous archaeological mummy finds. Bodrum, Fethiye, Marmaras, Kusadasi, Sesmi, Didam and Alanya are prominent tourist resorts in which country? Turkey. These places are well-known coastal tourist destinations in Turkey, particularly along its Mediterranean and Aegean coasts. They are famous for their historical sites, beautiful beaches, and vibrant nightlife, attracting millions of international visitors annually. The Elgin marbles, currently in the British Museum, came from which building? Parthenon. The Elgin marbles are a collection of classical Greek marble sculptures originally part of the Parthenon in Athens. Removed by Lord Elgin in the early 19th century, their presence in the British Museum remains a subject of international debate regarding their cultural ownership and potential repatriation. In 2010, the UN Food and Agriculture Organization announced that it expected to make a formal declaration in 2011 of the global eradication of rinderpest. What does rinderpest attack, mostly? Cattle. Rinderpest was a highly contagious viral disease primarily affecting cattle and other cloven-hoofed animals, causing significant livestock losses and famine. Its global eradication in 2011, certified by the FAO, marked a monumental achievement in veterinary science and public health, being only the second disease after smallpox to be eradicated worldwide. In Botticelli's painting, The Birth of Venus, what is she standing on? A shell. Sandro Botticelli's The Birth of Venus is an iconic Renaissance painting depicting the goddess Venus emerging from the sea. She is famously depicted standing on a large scallop shell, a symbolic representation of her marine origin and perfect beauty. What is Whitcomb Judson credited with inventing in 1893? Zip fastener. Whitcomb L. Judson is credited with inventing the clasp locker in 1893, which was the precursor to the modern zip fastener or zipper. His initial design was intended to fasten shoes, and the invention was later significantly improved and popularized by Gideon Sundback. What was the nickname for the Boeing B-17 long-range bomber used in World War II? Flying Fortress. The Boeing B-17 was a famous four-engine heavy bomber developed for the United States Army Air Corps in the 1930s. It earned the nickname Flying Fortress due to its numerous defensive machine guns and its robust construction, which allowed it to sustain heavy damage during combat missions in World War II. The Cocos Islands are located in which body of water? Indian Ocean. The Cocos, Keeling, Islands are an Australian territory situated in the Indian Ocean, southwest of Christmas Island. These remote coral atolls hold strategic importance in the region and are known for their unique ecosystems. Where are the palatine bones located? Mouth. The palatine bones are two irregularly shaped bones that contribute to the formation of the hard palate, the flow of the nasal cavity, and the lateral wall of the orbit. They are essential components of the facial skeleton, playing a role in both respiratory and digestive functions. Canaletto is renowned for his 18th century paintings of which city? Venice. Canaletto, an eminent 18th century Italian painter, is celebrated for his meticulously detailed vedute, view paintings, of Venice. His works offer invaluable visual records of the city's architecture, canals, and daily life during the Rococo period, making him a crucial figure in art history. Central Park is situated in which New York City borough? Manhattan. Central Park, an iconic urban park, is located in the borough of Manhattan in New York City. Designed by Frederick Law Olmsted and Calvert Vaux, it serves as a vital green space and recreational hub, attracting millions of visitors annually. From which language do we get the word fiasco? Italian. The term fiasco originated from the Italian phrase fa fiasco, which literally means to make a bottle. It colloquially evolved to signify a complete failure or disaster, possibly referring to a glass-blowing flower where a bottle came out imperfect. Who worked at Bletchley Park in World War II as one of the Enigma codebreakers and became known as the father of modern computer science? Alan Turing. Alan Turing was a groundbreaking British mathematician and logician who played a pivotal role at Bletchley Park during World War II, deciphering German Enigma codes. His theoretical work, including the concept of the Turing machine, laid the fundamental groundwork for modern computer science and artificial intelligence. The CN Tower is in which Canadian city? Toronto. The CN Tower is an iconic telecommunications and observation tower located in downtown Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Standing at 553.3 meters, it was once the world's tallest freestanding structure and remains a prominent symbol of the city's skyline. What was agreed by the Treaty of Northampton in 1328? Scotland was recognized as an independent kingdom. The Treaty of Northampton, signed in 1328, formally ended the First War of Scottish Independence between Scotland and England. Under its terms, England officially recognized Scotland as an independent kingdom, with Robert the Bruce as its rightful monarch. What condition, often painful especially when standing or walking, is most common in the legs, because of higher blood pressure there when standing? Varicose veins. Varicose veins are enlarged, twisted veins, predominantly found in the legs and feet. This condition arises when the valves within the veins weaken or become damaged, leading to inefficient blood flow and pooling, which causes the veins to bulge and become visible. Cambridge Circus is in which city? London. Cambridge Circus is a significant road junction situated in the West End of London, England. It marks the intersection of Shaftesbury Avenue and Charing Cross Road, serving as a well-known landmark within the city's vibrant theatre district. After Prime Minister Bishop was executed by his deputy, Bernard Code, US President Reagan, concerned for the security of 800 US students at St. George's School of Medicine, ordered the invasion of which British Commonwealth country? Grenada. The 1983 US invasion of Grenada, codenamed Operation Urgent Fury, was initiated by President Reagan following a coup that overthrew Prime Minister Maurice Bishop. Concerns included the safety of American medical students and the perceived threat of Soviet-Cuban influence in the Caribbean, marking a significant event in Cold War history. What is another name for the shoulder blade? Scapula. The scapula, commonly known as the shoulder blade, is a large, flat, triangular bone located in the upper back. It connects the humerus, upper arm bone, with the clavicle, collarbone, playing a crucial role in shoulder movement and stability within the human skeletal system. What was the name given to the line of German defenses that ran across Italy from east to west, through the Apennine Mountains via the mountains behind the town of Cassino, to the mouth of the Sangro River in the east? Gustav Line. The Gustav Line was a series of German fortifications in Italy during World War II, forming a major defensive barrier against the Allied advance. It was famously breached after intense fighting, notably at the Battle of Monte Cassino, significantly impacting the Allied campaign towards Rome. Where is the oldest whiskey distillery still operating, which was established in 1608? Northern Ireland. The Old Bushmills Distillery in County Antrim, Northern Ireland, holds the title of the world's oldest licensed whiskey distillery, receiving its royal license in 1608. It is renowned for producing Irish whiskey, a significant part of Ireland's cultural and economic heritage and a testament to historical craftsmanship. Traditionally, what are the black keys of a piano made of? Ebony. Traditionally, the black keys of a piano were made from ebony, a dense and dark hardwood known for its smooth texture and durability. This choice of material contributed to the aesthetic contrast and tactile experience of playing the instrument, highlighting historical craftsmanship in musical instrument manufacturing. Johann Friedrich Gutsmuth and Friedrich Ludwig Jahn created exercises for boys and young men on apparatus they had designed, that led to what is considered modern gymnastics. When was this? Late 18th, early 19th century. Johann Friedrich Gutsmuth and Friedrich Ludwig Jahn are considered founding fathers of modern gymnastics. Gutsmuth, in the late 18th century, developed a systematic approach to physical education. Jahn, in the early 19th century, expanded on this, creating dedicated outdoor gymnasiums and apparatus, laying the groundwork for the sport's structured development. What English custom practiced from the late 17th until the early 20th century was the backdrop for Thomas Hardy's novel, The Mayor of Casterbridge. Wife selling. Wife selling was a customary practice in England, primarily from the late 17th to the early 20th century, though it lacked legal standing. It was an informal and often public way to dissolve a marriage, serving as a desperate alternative to legal divorce, which was costly and difficult to obtain. Thomas Hardy vividly depicted this custom in his novel, The Mayor of Casterbridge. Who made two series of engravings based on two series of his paintings, called A Rake's Progress and A Harlot's Progress? William Hogarth. William Hogarth, an influential English painter and engraver of the 18th century, is renowned for his moralistic and satirical works. A Rake's Progress and A Harlot's Progress are two of his most famous series, depicting the decline of individuals through vice and social failings in Georgian London. These works were first conceived as paintings and later reproduced as widely popular engravings. All or part of Eritrea, Somaliland, Shunshan, Libya, the Dodecanese Islands, Ethiopia and Albania were ruled by what country in 1942? Italy. In 1942, during World War II, many of these territories constituted parts of the Italian colonial empire. Italy controlled Eritrea, Italian Somaliland, Libya, and the Dodecanese Islands. It had also invaded and occupied Ethiopia, Italian East Africa, and Albania before the war, and maintained a concession in Shenzhen, China. What was unusual about how George I, a 17-year-old Danish prince, became king of the Hellenes, ruling from 1863 to 1913? He was elected king by the Greek National Assembly. George I, originally Prince William of Denmark, became king of the Hellenes in 1863 at the age of 17. His ascension was unusual because he was elected by the Greek National Assembly, rather than inheriting the throne. This demonstrated Greece's post-independence desire for a constitutional monarchy and its seeking of a suitable European royal house. What word is commonly used to describe residents of the South American pampas, chacos, or Patagonian grasslands? Gaucho. A gaucho is a skilled horseman and cowboy, traditionally associated with the pampas, chacos, and Patagonian grasslands of South America. They are cultural symbols of Argentina, Uruguay, and southern Brazil, embodying a free-spirited, nomadic, and independent lifestyle. Their culture is rich in folklore, music, and distinct equestrian traditions. On the 1st of May 2010, where was a car bomb in a Nissan Pathfinder, which failed to ignite properly, disarmed with no casualties? Times Square, New York City. On May 1, 2010, a car bomb plot was foiled in Times Square, New York City. A Nissan Pathfinder containing explosives and gasoline was discovered smoking, but it failed to detonate properly. The prompt intervention of citizens and law enforcement led to the disarming of the device and the subsequent arrest of Faisal Shahzad, who had attempted the terrorist attack. Which other planet, besides Venus, in our solar system has no moon? Mercury. Both Venus and Mercury are the only two planets in our solar system that do not possess any natural satellites. Their proximity to the Sun and relatively weaker gravitational fields are key factors contributing to this unique characteristic among the planets. Who was the first Westerner to discover the Victoria Falls? David Livingstone. David Livingstone, a Scottish missionary and explorer, was the first European to sight Victoria Falls in 1855, naming them in honor of Queen Victoria. The local Kololo people already knew them as Mosi Oe Tunya, meaning, the smoke that thunders. What kind of musical instrument is a mellotron? Keyboard. A mellotron is an electromechanical musical instrument developed in the early 1960s. It operates by playing pre-recorded sounds on magnetic tape loops for each key, and is essentially a type of keyboard instrument. What gas constitutes 78.09% of the air we breathe? Nitrogen. Nitrogen is the most abundant gas in Earth's atmosphere, making up approximately 78.09% of the air by volume. Although crucial for life, atmospheric nitrogen is largely inert and must undergo nitrogen fixation to be utilized by living organisms. Where are the Balearic Islands located? Mediterranean Sea. The Balearic Islands are an archipelago located in the western Mediterranean Sea, forming an autonomous community of Spain. The major islands include Mallorca, Menorca, Ibiza, and Formentera, known for their significant tourism industry and distinct culture. In which city did the League of Nations establish its headquarters in 1920? Geneva. The League of Nations, an intergovernmental organization founded in 1920 after World War I, established its permanent headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland. Its primary mission was to promote international cooperation and achieve peace and security, serving as a precursor to the United Nations. What musical piece was broadcast by German radio in 1945 following the announcement of Adolf Hitler's death? The Adagio from Anton Bruckner's Seventh Symphony. Following the announcement of Adolf Hitler's death in 1945, German radio stations broadcast the Adagio from Anton Bruckner's Symphony No. 7. This choice of a somber and deeply emotional classical piece was intended to mark a solemn moment during the final days of World War II in Europe. Who was the oil and natural gas well firefighter known for battling over 2,000 fires, including the 1962 Sahara gas field blaze nicknamed the Devil's Cigarette Lighter? Red Adair. Paul Red Adair was an American oil well firefighter who became famous for his expertise in extinguishing difficult oil and gas well fires around the world. The 1962 Sahara fire, a massive 450-foot flame, solidified his legendary status in the field of industrial hazard mitigation. What was the primary cause of the large student protests in Dublin and London in November 2010? A proposed increase in university fees and cuts to student grants. These significant protests, involving tens of thousands of students, erupted in opposition to government plans for educational austerity. The proposed increase in university fees and reduction in student grants sparked widespread discontent and demonstrations, highlighting the public's concern over access to higher education. What is the approximate speed of light in a vacuum, expressed in miles per second? 186,000 miles per second. The speed of light in a vacuum is a fundamental physical constant, precisely 299,792,458 meters per second. This translates to approximately 186,282 miles per second, often rounded to 186,000 miles per second for general knowledge contexts. To which language does the term lusophone relate? Portuguese. The term lusophone refers to speakers of the Portuguese language and the countries where Portuguese is spoken. It derives from Lusitania, the ancient Roman province that covered modern-day Portugal. Inflammation of the knee is historically associated with which occupation due to prolonged kneeling? Housemaid. This condition is medically known as prepatellar bursitis, commonly referred to as housemaid's knee or carpenter's knee. It arises from the inflammation of the bursa located in front of the kneecap, often caused by repetitive or prolonged kneeling in occupations like domestic work or carpentry. When did the Great Fire of Rome, which burned for 5.5 days, occur? 64 AD. The Great Fire of Rome was a devastating urban conflagration that began on the night of the 18th of July in 64 AD, under the reign of Emperor Nero. It destroyed a significant portion of the city and led to widespread rebuilding efforts and controversial accusations regarding its cause. What group of men was constituted to guard the Roman emperor? Praetorian Guard. The Praetorian Guard was a special unit of the Imperial Roman Army, serving as personal bodyguards and intelligence agents for Roman emperors. Established by Augustus, they played a significant political role, often influencing imperial succession through their power. The poem, The New Colossus, which begins, "Give us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses," is inscribed where? The Statue of Liberty. Emma Lazarus's sonnet, The New Colossus, written in 1883, is inscribed on a bronze plaque inside the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty. It reimagines the statue as a welcoming mother, symbolizing America's role as a beacon of hope and a haven for immigrants worldwide. On which continent is the country of Belgium located? Europe. Belgium is a federal state located in Western Europe, bordering France, Germany, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. It is a founding member of the European Union, with its capital Brussels serving as a major international hub, housing the EU's main institutions and NATO headquarters. What celestial body undergoes phases of waxing and waning approximately every 28 days? The Moon. The Moon exhibits distinct phases, such as new moon, crescent, quarter, gibbous, and full moon, due to the changing angles at which we view its illuminated surface from Earth. This complete cycle, known as the synodic month, lasts approximately 29.5 days, often rounded to 28 days for general understanding. When shall we three meet again, is the first line of which famous play? Macbeth. This iconic opening line from William Shakespeare's tragedy, Macbeth, is spoken by the first witch, setting a mysterious and ominous tone for the play. It introduces the three witches, whose prophecies profoundly influence Macbeth's ambition and subsequent actions, leading to his tragic downfall. In the biblical narrative of Joseph, which distinctive garment is prominently featured and later became the title of a musical by Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice? Coat. Joseph's coat of many colors, or coat of many pieces depending on translation, is a significant symbol in the book of Genesis. Given to him by his father Jacob, it signified his special status and provoked the jealousy of his brothers, leading to his sale into slavery. The official symbol of the Olympic Games consists of 5 what? Rings. The Olympic symbol, composed of 5 interlocking rings in blue, yellow, black, green, and red on a white field, was designed by Pierre de Coubertin in 1913. These rings represent the 5 inhabited continents of the world united by Olympism, with the colors chosen because at least one of them appears in the national flag of every country. What is the official name of the natural harbour that serves as the port for Sydney, New South Wales, Australia? Port Jackson. Port Jackson is the official name for the body of water known colloquially as Sydney Harbour. It is a natural harbour that played a crucial role in the early European settlement of Australia and remains one of the world's finest deep-water natural harbours, famous for landmarks like the Sydney Opera House and Sydney Harbour Bridge. Seborrhea is a medical problem that affects which part of the body? Skin. Seborrhea is a common inflammatory skin condition, primarily affecting areas rich in sebaceous glands like the scalp, face, and chest. It causes red skin, greasy scales, and dandruff, often linked to an overgrowth of yeast on the skin or an immune response. The first flag for the USA had how many stars on it? 13. The first official flag of the United States, adopted on June 14, 1777, featured 13 stars and 13 stripes. These represented the original 13 colonies that declared independence from Great Britain, signifying the birth of the new nation. What peace treaty, signed on the 28th of June 1919, officially ended the state of war between Germany and the Allied powers after World War I? The Treaty of Versailles. The Treaty of Versailles was the peace document signed at the end of World War I between the Allied powers and Germany. Signed on June 28, 1919, it officially ended the state of war and imposed significant reparations and territorial losses on Germany, contributing to future international tensions. In the early 1900s, Canada and the USA were the major caviar suppliers to Europe, harvesting roe from the lake sturgeon in the North American Midwest, the Atlantic sturgeon spawning in the rivers of the eastern coast of the USA, and the short-nosed sturgeon, which was found where? The Atlantic, east, coast of North America. The short-nosed sturgeon is an anadromous fish species native to the Atlantic coast of North America, ranging from New Brunswick, Canada, to Florida, USA. Historically, these sturgeon, along with other species, were a significant source of caviar, particularly in the early 20th century, before overfishing led to conservation concerns. What was the occupation of Otto Klemperer? Conductor. Otto Klemperer was a renowned German-born orchestral conductor, widely regarded as one of the greatest conductors of the 20th century. He was particularly known for his interpretations of the works of Beethoven, Brahms, Bruckner, and Mahler, leading orchestras across Europe and in the United States. Psephology is the study of what? Elections and voting patterns. Psephology is the scientific study of elections and voting patterns, using historical data and public opinion surveys. Psephologists analyze election results to understand the factors influencing voter behavior, such as demographics, political campaigns, and socio-economic conditions. What is the longest river in England? Severn. The River Severn is the longest river in Great Britain, flowing approximately 354 kilometers from Plinlimmon in Wales through England to the Bristol Channel. It is an important waterway for navigation and a significant geographical feature of the region. Between 1821 and 1832, the Greeks fought to become free of which empire? Ottoman Empire. The Greek War of Independence, fought from 1821 to 1832, was a successful struggle by the Greeks to gain independence from the Ottoman Empire. This conflict, supported by European powers, led to the establishment of an independent Greek state and marked a significant event in European history. What was Julia Gillard's primary profession? Politician. Julia Gillard served as the 27th Prime Minister of Australia from 2010 to 2013, becoming the first and only woman to hold the position. Her profession as a politician involved significant roles in government and policy making at the national level. Which famous landmark in Los Angeles, California, was originally created as an advertisement in 1923? The Hollywood sign. The Hollywood sign, an iconic landmark overlooking Hollywood, Los Angeles, was originally erected in 1923 as a temporary advertisement for a local real estate development named Hollywoodland. It later became a symbol of the American film industry and California's cultural identity. When the conjunctiva, the outermost layer of the eye and the inner surface of the eyelids, are inflamed, what is the common descriptive term for the eyes? Bloodshot. When the conjunctiva, the outermost layer of the eye and the inner surface of the eyelids, becomes inflamed, it leads to the dilation of tiny blood vessels, making the eyes appear bloodshot. This condition is often a symptom of irritation, infection, or fatigue. What title was held by King Edward VIII after his abdication from the British throne? Duke of Windsor. After his abdication from the British throne in 1936 to marry Wallis Simpson, King Edward VIII was granted the title of Duke of Windsor. He held this peerage for the remainder of his life, though without sovereign or royal responsibilities. What was the first man-made object to reach the surface of Mars in 1971? USSR's Mars 2. The Soviet Union's Mars 2 probe was the first human-made object to impact the Martian surface. Although it failed to achieve a soft landing as intended, its arrival in November 1971 marked a significant early milestone in planetary exploration. Whit Monday, also known as Pentecost Monday, commemorates what type of event? Religious event. Whit Monday, observed in many European countries and former British colonies, commemorates the descent of the Holy Spirit upon the apostles and other followers of Jesus Christ. This event, 50 days after Easter, is considered the birth of the Christian Church, celebrated as Pentecost. What is considered the main commercial flatfish in Europe? Plaice. Plaice, Pleuronectes platesa, is a highly valued commercial flatfish species predominantly found in European waters, especially the North Sea. It is a significant component of the European fishing industry due to its popularity as a food fish. What rating indicates the anti-engine knocking properties of a fuel? Octane. Octane rating is a standard measure of a fuel's resistance to premature ignition, often referred to as knocking or pinging in internal combustion engines. Fuels with higher octane ratings can withstand greater compression before igniting, which is crucial for high-performance engines. The 1990 Mazda Cosmo was the first car to be equipped with what is an option? GPS. The Mazda Yunos Cosmo, launched in 1990, holds the distinction of being the first production car globally to offer a built-in GPS navigation system as an optional feature. This innovation predated the widespread adoption of GPS in automotive technology, showcasing early integration of advanced electronics. How many degrees do the internal angles of an octagon add up to? 1080 degrees. The sum of the interior angles of any polygon can be calculated using the formula, n2, times 180 degrees, where, n, is the number of sides. For an octagon, which has 8 sides, this calculation is, 8 to 2, times 180 equals 6 times 180 equals 1080 degrees. Who succeeded Lyndon Johnson as President of the USA on the 20th of January 1969? Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon succeeded Lyndon Johnson as the 37th President of the United States on January 20, 1969. His presidency is notable for ending American involvement in the Vietnam War and for the Watergate scandal, which ultimately led to his resignation in 1974. 5 of Canada's 14 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, Canadian Rocky Mountain Parks, Waterton Glacier International Peace Park, Wood Buffalo National Park, Dinosaur Provincial Park and Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump, are located in which Canadian province? Alberta. Alberta, a western province of Canada, is home to 5 of the nation's UNESCO World Heritage Sites. These sites, including vast national parks and significant paleontological and cultural locations, highlight Alberta's rich natural landscapes, biodiversity, and historical importance. What is located in the main courtyard, Cour Napoleon, of the Louvre Palace, Palais du Louvre, in Paris? 4 glass and metal pyramids. The Cour Napoleon, the main courtyard of the Louvre Palace in Paris, is famously home to the iconic glass and metal pyramids. Designed by IMP and inaugurated in 1989, these modern structures serve as the main entrance to the Louvre Museum, creating a striking architectural contrast with the historic palace. What title, meaning general, was held by Japan's military commanders from 1192 to 1867? Shogun. The title of shogun, meaning general, was held by Japan's hereditary military dictators from 1192 to 1867. During this period, known as the shogunate era, these powerful commanders wielded de facto rule over the country, while the emperor held largely ceremonial power. What apparatus is used to artificially hatch eggs? Incubator. An incubator is an apparatus specifically designed to provide optimal environmental conditions, such as controlled temperature, humidity, and ventilation, for the artificial hatching of eggs. This technology is crucial in poultry farming for mass production and in scientific research for studying embryonic development. In October 2009, the International Olympic Committee, IOC, announced that the 2016 Summer Olympics would be held from 5 to the 21st of August 2016 in what city? Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The International Olympic Committee, IOC, selected Rio de Janeiro as the host city for the 2016 Summer Olympics. This marked the first time a South American city hosted the Olympic Games, making it a historically significant event. In Britain during World War II, where did land girls work? Farms. During World War II, land girls were women who worked in agriculture in Britain as part of the Women's Land Army. They filled labor shortages left by men conscripted for military service, ensuring food production during wartime. In 1984, Muhammad Ali was diagnosed with what disorder? Parkinson's disease. Legendary boxer Muhammad Ali was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 1984, a neurological disorder that gradually affects movement. His battle with the disease became public and raised significant awareness about the condition globally. Who famously flew a kite in a thunderstorm in 1752 to demonstrate the effects of lightning? Benjamin Franklin. In 1752, Benjamin Franklin conducted his famous kite experiment during a thunderstorm to prove that lightning is a form of electricity. This groundbreaking experiment led to the invention of the lightning rod and significantly advanced understanding of electrical phenomena. Which branch of botany is concerned with grasses? Agrostology. Agrostology is the scientific study of grasses, a diverse and economically important plant family known as Poaceae. This field of botany focuses on the identification, classification, ecology, and cultivation of grasses, which include cereals like wheat, rice, and corn. Juneau, Alaska, is the northernmost U.S. state capital. What is the second most northern? Olympia, Washington. Juneau, Alaska, holds the distinction of being the northernmost capital city in the United States. Olympia, the capital of Washington state, is the second most northern, located further north than many other state capitals. What name did Andy Warhol give to his original New York City studio from 1962 to 1968, located on the 5th floor of 231 East 47th Street? The Factory. The Factory was the iconic studio of artist Andy Warhol in New York City, active from 1962 to 1968. It served as a creative hub and social gathering place for artists, musicians, and celebrities, becoming central to the pop art movement and counterculture of the 1960s. According to Britain's Sea Fish Industry Authority, what is the name for a young pilchard? Sardine. The terms pilchard and sardine often refer to the same type of small, oily fish within the herring family, Clypeidae. Specifically, sardine is commonly used for smaller or younger fish, while pilchard typically refers to the larger, mature fish. Wynton Marsalis is known for playing what type of music? Jazz. Wynton Marsalis is a renowned American trumpeter, composer, and educator, celebrated for his mastery of both classical and jazz music. He is a prominent figure in contemporary jazz, recognized for his virtuosity and dedication to preserving and advancing the art form. What name is used for the index of activity on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange? Hang Seng. The Hang Seng Index, HSI, is a free float adjusted market capitalization weighted stock market index in Hong Kong. It serves as a key indicator of the market performance of the largest companies listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, reflecting the overall health of the region's economy. In which country is the city of Armagh? Northern Ireland. Armagh is a city in Northern Ireland, historically significant as the ecclesiastical capital for both the Church of Ireland and the Roman Catholic Church in Ireland. It is one of the smallest cities in the United Kingdom by population. Riparian rights apply to what type of land? River banks. Riparian rights are a system of legal rights granted to owners of land that adjoin a body of water, such as a river or stream. These rights typically include the use of the water, access to it, and sometimes ownership of the land beneath the water, subject to principles of reasonable use. What is the medical term, pruritus, used to describe? Itching. Pruritus is the medical term for the sensation of itching, an unpleasant feeling that provokes the desire to scratch. It can be a symptom of various underlying medical conditions, including dermatological issues, allergic reactions, or systemic diseases. In Scandinavian mythology, who was the son of Odin that had a magic hammer called Mjolnir? Thor. In Norse mythology, Thor is the prominent hammer-wielding god associated with thunder, lightning, storms, strength, and the protection of humanity. He is the son of Odin and wields his iconic hammer, Mjolnir, which has immense destructive power and always returns to his hand. What is the Glarus thrust? A fault line in the Swiss Alps. The Glarus thrust is a major overthrust fault in the Alps of eastern Switzerland. It is a geological UNESCO World Heritage Site, demonstrating continental collision and the formation of mountains through the movement of older rock layers over younger ones. What color does the planet Neptune appear to be from space? Blue. Neptune appears blue due to the presence of methane in its atmosphere, which absorbs red light and reflects blue light. It is the eighth and farthest known solar planet from the Sun. Who would be interested in a miller's thumb? Angler. The miller's thumb refers to a small, bottom-dwelling freshwater fish known for its broad, flat head. An angler, or fisherman, would be interested in this fish for sport or study, particularly in its natural habitats. Which sculptor is famous for his work, The Thinker? Rodin. Auguste Rodin, a French sculptor, is renowned for his iconic bronze and marble sculpture, The Thinker. Created between 1880 and 1882, the work portrays a nude male figure in profound contemplation, symbolizing philosophy and the human condition. What name was given to a series of confrontations in the 1950s and 1970s between the UK and Iceland? Cod Wars. The Cod Wars were a series of political and military confrontations between the United Kingdom and Iceland primarily over fishing rights in the North Atlantic. These disputes, which occurred between the 1950s and 1970s, were a significant event in international maritime law and economic history. What is another name for a beekeeper? Apiarist. An apiarist is a person who keeps bees, particularly for the production of honey, beeswax, or for pollination of crops. This practice is known as apiculture, a specialized form of animal husbandry focused on honey bee colonies. Where in the USA are the La Brea tar pits? Los Angeles. The La Brea tar pits are a famous paleontological site in Hancock Park, Los Angeles, California. They are known for their rich deposits of Ice Age fossils, where thousands of animals, trapped in asphalt seeps over tens of thousands of years, have been preserved. Which daughter of James V of Scotland became Queen of France in 1559? Mary, Queen of Scots, Mary I. Mary, Queen of Scots, also known as Mary I of Scotland, became Queen Consort of France in 1559 through her marriage to Francis II. She is a prominent figure in Scottish and European history, known for her controversial reign and eventual execution by Queen Elizabeth I of England. What nests at Sandy Cape, the most northern point on Fraser Island off the coast of Queensland, Australia, which is protected as part of the Great Sandy National Park? Turtles. Sandy Cape, located at the northern tip of Fraser Island, Kagri, is a vital nesting site for various sea turtle species, including loggerhead, green, and flatback turtles. Fraser Island itself is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and part of the Great Sandy National Park, recognized for its unique ecological significance and biodiversity. Which Channel Island is divided by a causeway called the Coupe, and has one port, crew? Sark. Sark is one of the smaller Channel Islands, situated in the southwestern English Channel. It is famously divided into two main sections, Greater Sark and Little Sark, which are connected by a narrow, natural causeway known as La Coupe. The island maintains a unique feudal system and is known for its car-free environment. John F. Kennedy's father Joe was U.S. ambassador to which country? Britain. Joseph P. Kennedy Sr., father of President John F. Kennedy, served as the United States ambassador to Great Britain from 1938 to 1940. His tenure was particularly notable and controversial due to his isolationist views and his pessimism regarding Britain's ability to withstand Nazi Germany during the early stages of World War II. The island of Kos is in which sea? Mediterranean. Kos is a prominent Greek island located in the Aegean Sea, which is an embodiment of the larger Mediterranean Sea. Situated within the Dodecanese island group, Kos holds historical significance as the birthplace of Hippocrates, the father of medicine, and is known for its ancient ruins and lush landscapes. What part of the caper is salted and pickled and used as a seasoning or garnish? Bud. Capers are the edible, unopened flower buds of the caper bush, Capara spinosa, primarily cultivated across the Mediterranean region. These small buds are typically harvested, sun-dried, and then brined in salt or vinegar, developing a distinct pungent, lemony, and salty flavor profile widely used in various cuisines as a seasoning or garnish. who captained the Endeavour and the Resolution on 3 voyages to the Pacific in 1768-71, 1772-75 and 1776-79? James Cook. Captain James Cook, a renowned British explorer, navigator, and cartographer, undertook 3 pivotal voyages to the Pacific Ocean between 1768 and 1779. Aboard ships such as HMS Endeavour and HMS Resolution, he meticulously charted vast areas, including New Zealand and the east coast of Australia, and significantly contributed to global geographical knowledge. The warriors known as berserkers were legendary figures in which mythology? Norse. Berserkers were ancient Norse warriors who fought in a trance-like fury, often attributed to divine inspiration or the use of intoxicating substances. Their ferocity in battle made them legendary figures in Viking sagas and Norse mythology. Double vision, the perception of 2 images from a single object, is properly called what? Diplopia. Diplopia is the medical term for double vision, where a single object appears as 2 images. It can be caused by various factors, including problems with eye muscles, nerves, or the brain, and can be a symptom of underlying medical conditions. What is the last book of the New Testament? Revelation. The book of Revelation, also known as the Apocalypse of John, is the final book of the New Testament in the Christian Bible. It is an apocalyptic prophecy written by John of Patmos, describing visions of heavenly conflict and the ultimate triumph of good over evil. What is the Ishihara test for? Color blindness. The Ishihara test is a widely recognized color perception test used to diagnose red-green color blindness. It consists of a series of plates, each containing a circle of dots of varying colors and sizes, within which a number or path is embedded, visible to individuals with normal color vision. Why did Captain Cook throw 6 of his 10 cannon into the sea at Great Barrier Reef, off the Australian coast in 1770? To lighten it, as his ship was stuck on the reef. During his first voyage of discovery in 1770, Captain James Cook's ship, HMS Endeavour, ran aground on the Great Barrier Reef off the coast of Australia. To refloat the vessel and prevent further damage, Cook ordered his crew to jettison several cannons and other heavy stores into the sea, an act critical to saving the ship and continuing their expedition. Where are Akrotiri and Dhekelia, allocated by treaty to the UK as sovereign military bases? Cyprus. Akrotiri and Dhekelia are 2 British sovereign base areas on the island of Cyprus. These territories were retained by the United Kingdom following the granting of independence to Cyprus in 1960, primarily for military purposes due to their strategic location in the eastern Mediterranean. In December 2010, Continental Airlines was found criminally responsible for which airline disaster by a Parisian court and was fined €200,000 and ordered to pay Air France €1 million, while Continental mechanic John Taylor was given a 15-month suspended sentence? Concorde, Flight 4590, the 25th of July 2000. The Concorde Flight 4590 disaster occurred on the 25th of July 2000, shortly after takeoff from Paris, killing all 109 people on board and 4 on the ground. A Parisian court found Continental Airlines criminally responsible in 2010, alleging that a metal strip left on the runway by a Continental aircraft caused a tire burst that led to the crash. Who, when discussing the power of a lever, is reputed to have said, "Give me but one firm place on which to stand, and I will move the earth." Archimedes. This famous quote is attributed to the ancient Greek mathematician, physicist, engineer, inventor, and astronomer Archimedes. It exemplifies the principle of the lever, where a small force can move a large weight if the lever arm is long enough. Archimedes made significant contributions to the fields of mechanics and hydrostatics. Transits of Venus occur in a pattern, with pairs of transits 8 years apart separated by much longer gaps, that repeats every how many years? 243 years. A transit of Venus is a rare astronomical phenomenon where the planet Venus passes directly between the Sun and a superior planet, appearing as a small black dot moving across the face of the Sun. This pattern, involving pairs of transits 8 years apart, repeats approximately every 243 years, with the last pair occurring in 2004 and 2012. What is the Sunday before Trinity Sunday? Whit Sunday, also known as Pentecost. Whit Sunday, also known as Pentecost, is a major Christian festival celebrated on the seventh Sunday after Easter. It commemorates the descent of the Holy Spirit upon the apostles and other followers of Jesus Christ, marking the birth of the Christian Church. Trinity Sunday follows Whit Sunday, celebrating the Holy Trinity. The traditional song, The Ballad of Chevy Chase, is believed to describe which battle? The Battle of Otterburn. The traditional song, The Ballad of Chevy Chase, recounts a fictionalized version of a border skirmish between English and Scottish forces. While the ballad itself is legendary, it is widely believed to be inspired by and loosely based on the Battle of Otterburn, a significant conflict fought in 1388 between English and Scottish forces. Who was Emperor of Rome during the Great Fire of 64 AD? Nero. Nero Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus was the fifth Roman emperor, ruling from 54 to 68 AD. The Great Fire of Rome, which devastated much of the city, occurred during his reign in 64 AD. While he was initially blamed, and later used the Christians as scapegoats, historical accounts debate his actual involvement, with some suggesting he was away from Rome at the time. How many days did Britain lose in September 1752 on changing from the Julian to the Gregorian calendar? 11. The transition from the Julian to the Gregorian calendar in Britain and its colonies in September 1752 necessitated the omission of 11 days. This adjustment corrected the accumulated error in the Julian calendar's calculation of the solar year, bringing Britain's dating system into alignment with most of Western Europe. At the peak of its power, it was often said that the sun never sets on which empire? British. The adage, the sun never sets on the British Empire, highlights the vast geographical extent of the empire during its zenith, primarily in the 19th and early 20th centuries. With territories spanning across every continent, it ensured that at least one part of the empire was always under daylight. This phrase symbolically conveyed Britain's unprecedented global power and influence. In medicine, what does GP mean? General Practitioner. In the medical field, GP is an abbreviation for General Practitioner. A general practitioner is a medical doctor who provides primary health care, including diagnosis, treatment of common illnesses, preventive care, and health education. They serve as the first point of contact for patients and refer them to specialists when necessary. Kraal is an Afrikaans and South African English word for what? An enclosure for livestock. A kraal is a term originating from Afrikaans and South African English, referring to an enclosure for livestock, particularly cattle, used in southern Africa. It can also denote a traditional African village or homestead surrounded by such an enclosure. The word reflects the region's historical agricultural practices and social structures. Who is credited with inventing the gyroscope? Léon Foucault. The French physicist Léon Foucault is widely credited with inventing the modern gyroscope in 1852. He designed the device to demonstrate the rotation of the Earth, utilizing its principle of angular momentum to maintain orientation regardless of its mountings movement. Gyroscopes are now essential components in navigation systems, aerospace technology, and mobile devices. The airship L.19, a World War I Zeppelin of the German Kaiserliche Marine, Imperial Navy, came down in the North Sea while returning from her first bombing raid on the United Kingdom during the night of the 1st or the 2nd of February 1916. What was the controversy following this incident? The crew survived but drowned when a British vessel refused to rescue them. A significant controversy arose during World War I when the German Zeppelin L.19 crashed in the North Sea. The surviving German crew was spotted by a British fishing trawler, whose captain, fearing being overpowered or captured, ultimately refused to rescue them. This decision led to the German sailors' deaths by drowning and sparked widespread debate regarding naval ethics and the conduct of warfare. The General Assembly of which U.S. state voted to express profound regret for its involvement with slavery? Virginia. In 2007, the General Assembly of Virginia made history by voting to express profound regret for the state's role in slavery and the slave trade. This made Virginia the first U.S. state to issue such an apology for its historical complicity in the institution of slavery. The resolution aimed to acknowledge the profound and lasting impact of slavery on its victims and their descendants. How many members are there in the Italian lower house, the Chamber of Deputies? 630. The Italian Chamber of Deputies, which serves as the lower house of the Italian Parliament, traditionally consisted of 630 members. However, following a constitutional referendum in 2020, the number of deputies was reduced to 400, with this change taking effect from the 2022 general election. It is crucial for aspirants to be aware of such recent constitutional reforms. Where are the islands named Green, Herschel, Jack, Kitchener, Russell, St. Joseph, Tabor, and Tyson located? Lake Huron. Lake Huron is one of the 5 Great Lakes of North America, bordering Michigan in the United States and Ontario in Canada. It is notable for its extensive coastline and numerous islands, including Manitoulin Island, the largest freshwater island in the world. The mentioned islands are part of its complex island geography. In mathematics, what is the name for the sequence of numbers starting with 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and continuing where each number is the sum of the 2 preceding ones? Fibonacci numbers. Fibonacci numbers form a sequence where each number is the sum of the 2 preceding ones, typically starting with 0 and 1. This sequence appears frequently in mathematics, nature, art, and architecture, reflecting growth patterns in plants and the branching of trees. What is the meaning of the Russian word, Bolshevik? Majority. Bolshevik is a Russian word meaning, one of the majority. This term was used to describe a faction of the Marxist Russian Social Democratic Labour Party, which ultimately became the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. The Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Lenin, seized power during the October Revolution of 1917. The Slavery Abolition Act 1833, an act of the Parliament of the United Kingdom, abolished slavery throughout the British Empire, with the exception of which territories? The East India Company's territories, Ceylon, and St. Helena. The Slavery Abolition Act 1833 abolished slavery in most of the British Empire, marking a significant step in the global anti-slavery movement. However, it initially exempted territories under the East India Company's rule, Ceylon, modern-day Sri Lanka, and St. Helena. Slavery in these regions was later addressed through separate legislative measures. What are Halley's, Hale-Bopp, Kohoutek, West, Hyakutake, and McNaught examples of? Comets. Halley's, Hale-Bopp, and other mentioned celestial bodies are well-known comets, which are icy, small solar system bodies that, when passing close to the Sun, warm and begin to outgas, displaying a visible atmosphere or coma, and sometimes also a tail. Comets are remnants from the formation of the solar system, providing insights into its early composition. In which field was Sir Mortimer Wheeler famous? Archaeology. Sir Mortimer Wheeler was a renowned British archaeologist who served as Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India. He is celebrated for his methodical excavation techniques and significant contributions to the understanding of ancient Indian civilizations, particularly the Indus Valley Civilization. The Little Rock 9 incident of 1957 in Arkansas concerned what event? The refusal by the state of Arkansas to honor a federal court order to integrate schools. The Little Rock 9 incident in 1957 involved 9 African American students who attempted to enroll in Little Rock Central High School. This event became a pivotal moment in the American civil rights movement, demonstrating state resistance to the Supreme Court's ruling in Brown v. Board of Education that mandated the desegregation of public schools. What was the name most often used for the tower at the north end of the Palace of Westminster in London? St. Stephen's Tower. St. Stephen's Tower was the historical name commonly used for the famous clock tower at the north end of the Palace of Westminster. While officially renamed Elizabeth Tower in 2012 to commemorate Queen Elizabeth II's Diamond Jubilee, it is still widely known for housing the Big Ben bell. What is the scientific study of insects? Entomology. Entomology is the branch of zoology specifically dedicated to the scientific study of insects. This field encompasses the classification, morphology, physiology, development, behavior, ecology, and distribution of insects, which are the most diverse group of animals. On the 25th of November 2010, which country held a general election where the majority of seats, 17 out of 26, in its legislative assembly were elected by universal suffrage for the first time? Tonga. In 2010, Tonga transitioned towards a more democratic system by holding its first general election where the majority of its legislative assembly members were directly elected by popular vote. This marked a significant constitutional reform, moving power from the monarchy and nobility to the elected representatives of the people. Which U.S. state is home to Niagara Falls? New York. Niagara Falls is a group of 3 immense waterfalls located on the border between the United States and Canada. On the American side, the falls are situated in the state of New York, forming a crucial part of its natural landscape and a major tourist attraction. How many times was Benjamin Disraeli's government elected in the UK? 1. Benjamin Disraeli, a leading conservative politician, served 2 terms as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. While he held office twice, his government was elected to a majority in Parliament only once, during the general election of 1874. According to Greek legend, which of the 9 muses was the muse of choral poetry? Polymnia. Polymnia, or Polyhymnia, is one of the 9 muses in Greek mythology, traditionally known as the muse of sacred hymn, eloquence, rhetoric, and choral poetry. The muses were goddesses of inspiration in various arts and sciences, daughters of Zeus and Mnemosyne. What name is given to the giving up of food, often for religious reasons? Fast. Fasting is the willful abstinence or reduction from some or all food, drink, or both, for a period of time. It is often undertaken for religious, spiritual, or health reasons and is a practice found across many cultures and faiths worldwide. What is claimed to be the fastest bird in level flight, though its record is in dispute from supporters of the white-throated needletail? Red-breasted merganser. The red-breasted merganser is often cited as the fastest bird in level flight, capable of speeds up to 129 km per hour, 80 miles per hour. This record is occasionally disputed by other birds, such as the white-throated needletail, which are known for incredible speeds during dives and bursts. What weapon is traditionally held in a scabbard? Sword. A scabbard is a sheath for holding a sword, knife, or other large blade. Made from various materials like leather, wood, or metal, it serves to protect the blade and safely carry the weapon. Puri Worldwide, which has its corporate headquarters in California, USA, is concerned with what? Diving. Puri, Professional Association of Diving Instructors, is the world's largest recreational diving membership and diver training organization. Headquartered in California, USA, Puri provides certification for various levels of scuba diving proficiency. What is Midway, the site of the Battle of Midway? Pacific Island. Midway Atoll, often simply called Midway, is an unorganized, unincorporated territory of the United States in the North Pacific Ocean. It is historically significant as the site of the pivotal Battle of Midway in June 1942, a decisive naval victory for the Allies in World War II. When did Willem Janszoon make the first European landfall on the continent of Australia? 1606. Willem Janszoon, a Dutch navigator, made the first documented European landing on the Australian continent in 1606, exploring the west coast of the Cape York Peninsula in Queensland. This event predates Captain Cook's more extensive charting of the east coast by over 160 years. What international news television network is headquartered in Doha, Qatar? Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera Media Network is a Qatari state-funded broadcaster headquartered in Doha, Qatar. Launched in 1996, it gained global prominence for its coverage of events, particularly in the Middle East, offering a different perspective from Western media. What term described the pattern where, from 1840 to 1960, American presidents elected in a year ending in 0 died in office? The Curse of Tupacano. The Curse of Tupacano, also known as Tecumseh's Curse or the Zero-Year Curse, refers to a supposed pattern where U.S. presidents elected in years ending in 0 died in office. This pattern held from William Henry Harrison, elected 1840, to John F. Kennedy, elected 1960, though it appears to have ended with Ronald Reagan, elected 1980. What is the name of the line of latitude approximately 23 degrees 30 minutes north? Tropic of Cancer. The Tropic of Cancer is the most northerly circle of latitude on Earth at which the sun can be directly overhead. It is located approximately 23.5 degrees north of the equator, marking the northern limit of the tropics. Who was depicted on the world's first adhesive postage stamp? Victoria. Queen Victoria was featured on the penny black, the world's first adhesive postage stamp used in a public postal system, issued in Great Britain on May 1, 1840. This innovation revolutionized mail delivery and paved the way for modern postal services globally. What was the first public library in Europe? The Bodleian Library at the University of Oxford. The Bodleian Library, part of the University of Oxford, is one of the oldest libraries in Europe, first opened to scholars in 1602. It serves as a major research library and a legal deposit library, housing over 13 million printed items. What is the specialty of a podiatrist? Feet. A podiatrist is a healthcare professional who specializes in the diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of conditions related to the foot, ankle, and lower leg. This medical field addresses a wide range of issues from common foot ailments to complex surgical procedures. What colors are the symbols of the Paralympic Games, which since 2003, are composed of 3 symbols of movement in the shape of an asymmetrical crescent? Red, blue and green. The Paralympic symbol, introduced in 2003, consists of 3 agitos, meaning, I move, in Latin, in red, blue, and green, encircling a central point. These colors are widely represented in national flags worldwide, signifying the unity of athletes from diverse backgrounds. A Henry is the basic SI unit of what physical quantity? Inductance. The Henry H is the SI unit of electrical inductance, named after the American scientist Joseph Henry. Inductance is the property of an electric conductor or circuit that causes an electromotive force to be generated by a change in the current flowing through it. The Siege of Sevastopol, a historically significant event, took place during which major war? Crimean War. The Siege of Sevastopol, 1854–1855, was a pivotal military engagement during the Crimean War, fought between the Russian Empire and an alliance of France, Britain, the Ottoman Empire, and Sardinia. It was one of the longest and most brutal sieges in military history, leading to significant losses on both sides. In October 2009, a diplomatic incident arose between Albania, India, and Macedonia concerning the disinterment and reburial of whose remains? Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa, a Nobel Peace Laureate, was born in Skopje, modern-day North Macedonia, lived much of her life in India, and was ethnically Albanian. The 2009 incident highlights the complex national claims over her legacy and remains.